Go, go, buddy. You should be the first one. Go, 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 go.
You can't get too close.
Let his kids go. Where's Stormer? Well, New York, New York.
Yes, sir.
Fresh out the can. Damn. Over 18 straight. Damn. Gave me 7 and 5.
Max B when he gets it.
Max B.
Okay.
People don't play with me with that conversation. Ain't nobody can tell me nothing about that. That's the first thing I say. You heard?
Okay.
That's how you feel. That end the deal for anybody. Ain't no Max talking about conversation. Period.
Max B has finally stepped back onto the streets after nearly 16 long years locked down, fighting case after case, setback after setback, and still refusing to let his legacy die out. The wave has officially returned to the outside world. But trust me, not everybody is happy about it.
I feel righteous.
Damn.
Feeling good.
Feeling good,
I
feeling
know it
good.
is. I'm grateful.
Okay.
I'm thankful.
Love that, love
God is
that.
good.
Because word on the streets is somebody real familiar is already tight about this, and that somebody is Jim Jones. Max coming home isn't just flipping open an old chapter. It's ripping open old wounds, and the trolling aimed at Jim is already getting ridiculous. It hasn't even been 3 full days since Max touched the pavement again, and is moving like he never missed a single beat. You can't even scroll your phone without bumping into him. 1 minute is in a jewelry store checking out new ice. The next is turning up at somebody's birthday. Then is posted in the club. Then is popping up at a Jets game like it's been outside this whole time. It legit feels like a full documentary crew is trailing him through the city. This is not one of those come home, lay low, relax type moments. Max jumped straight back into the spotlight like he never left, and is soaking up every second of it. That's an A-lister. Okay. Anybody got a sack. Bulls. Look me up. I'ma get you right. And the crazy part? The people are loving every bit of it. This is easily one of the most hyped homecomings hip-hop has seen in years, and fans been waiting over a decade just to see the wave moving again. So of course it makes sense it's everywhere right now. Max didn't just come home. He came home making noise, dominating timelines, grabbing headlines. He even popped a big question to his girlfriend literally one day after stepping out, wasting zero time showing he's ready to start a whole new chapter. But with all that shine comes a drama, because a comeback this loud is guaranteed to wake up old problems. Suddenly all the usual talk is back again. Old beefs, snitching rumors, jealousy, side being chosen, the whole messy mix resurfacing at once. But the storyline catching the most heat right now is that long, ugly, unfinished feud with Jim Jones. Jim spent years trying to scrub his name away from anything connected to Max B. Said it in interview after interview. He don't want to speak on Max. Don't want to deal with Max. Don't want to see Maximum Max B. Man, get Max out of here. In one sit-down, he even said, F Max B. Then later tried cleaning it up by saying he might forgive, but he'll never forget. In other words, that door was locked and bolted shut. But now that Max is out and moving like it's never been gone, it was only a matter of time before Jim's name got dragged right back into the center of the storm. And out of everybody who could have reignited the whole situation, of course it was 50 Cent, and absolutely nobody was surprised. 50 and Jim been throwing shots at each other for years. So the second Max stepped out, it became the perfect alley-oop for 50 to start clowning again. He jumped on Instagram and did what he does best, stirred the entire pot. He posted a meme from Belly with the character Rico eating a banana, tagging him as Jim Jones, basically hinting Jimmy was snitching. 50 threw his signature spin on the caption too, saying something like, Homie said Max home. It's packed in harbor. Jimmy about to drop a dime on these dudes. LOL. Then he added a clip of Max B on FaceTime with DJ Who Kid just to crank the heat even higher. After that, it wasn't just 50 bloggers, hip-hop pages, everybody piled in, turning the comment sections into straight chaos. For anybody who doesn't know, the tension between Jim Jones and Max B was never some tiny rap disagreement. This was deep, personal, and messy from every direction. Back in the mid-2000s, Jim and Max were moving like real brothers, locked into the studio, hanging out non-stop, sliding through Harlem side by side. But even before the music, before the fame, Max had already lived a life straight out of a movie. He had just come home in 2005 after serving 8 years on a robbery case, and once he stepped out, the world finally met Max Bigavelli, a name he created by blending Biggie Smalls, Machiavelli, and R. Kelly together. When Max touched down, Harlem was already in a wild era. Dipset was running the entire city. Cam'ron, Joel Santana, and Jim Jones had the streets in a chokehold, dropping anthem after anthem that shaped a whole generation. Through Cameron, Max linked up with Jim, and the chemistry between them clicked instantly. Jim signed Max to his Bird Gang label and paired him with legendary Harlem producer Dame Grease. And from that point forward, everything started moving fast. By 2006, Max had already dropped his first mixtape. $1 Million Baby hit the streets and took over immediately. Max's raspy, melodic delivery, his off-balance swagger, and that unpredictable wavy style made him sound like nobody else out. And at the same time, Bird Gang had another rising problem solver, Stack Bundles. With both Max and Stack in his corner, Jim Jones had the perfect duo, the two artists who were supposed to be the future face of Harlem. Max was a hidden force behind the hooks and melodies that turned Jim's records into straight explosions. Tracks like Baby Girl became neighborhood anthems because of the wave Max brought to them. Before long, the whispers started spreading, people saying Max was a real creative engine behind Jim's new sound. And that right there is where the tension began creeping in. As Max's buzz started rising, so did his street instincts. And those instincts are what eventually dragged him into a situation that flipped his entire life upside down. Around that time, Max was dealing with his ex-girlfriend, Gina Conway, who told him about this flashy dude she knew, Alan J. Plowden.
When this woman, Gina Marie Conway, a prostitute who'd been with Plowden, told her boyfriend Charlie Wingate, a.k.a. Max B., a rapper, about the men's money.
A man living wild, running mortgage scams, male hustles, pushing luxury cars, and tossing money around like it didn't even matter. Gina claimed Max couldn't let that opportunity slide, so he started thinking they could hit a quick lick together. The plan sounded simple on paper. Pull up to Plowden's hotel room, grab whatever cash was inside, and slide out clean. Gina said Max was the one who pushed the whole setup, promising her a better life if she played her part. But when the night finally came and they tried to make the move happen, nothing went the way they imagined. Gina and Max's stepbrother, Kelvin Sims Leardom, were the ones who actually went out to execute the plan, but the whole operation fell apart before it even got off the ground. They were supposed to slide in while Plowden was out partying, but instead they got lost, missed exits, and spent hours just driving in circles. By the time they finally pulled up to the hotel in Fort Lee, Plowden was already back in his room, knocked out next to another woman.
Morning of September 22nd at the Fort Lee Holiday Inn. Police are called there after a man is shot to death. The victim, David Taylor from Florida, was staying in room 227.
And that's when everything took a darker, unexpected turn. Another man, David Taylor, walked in out of nowhere, someone who wasn't supposed to be part of anything. Sims panicked, pulled out a gun, and shot Taylor in the face, execution style. Just like that, what was supposed to be a simple robbery turned into a full-blown murder case. From that moment, everything collapsed at lightning speed. Gina got picked up first, and the second the pressure hit, she folded instantly. She handed police a 169-page statement, spilling every detail she knew and pointing straight at Max as the one who set everything up. According to her, he was a mastermind, the one who convinced her to help, promising a better life if the move worked. And once the feds locked her statement in, they came for Max heavy. He got arrested and slapped with serious charges, including felony murder, even though he wasn't anywhere near the hotel room that night. His bail was set at a massive $2 million, and just like that, Harlem's rising wave star was staring dead at the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars. Inside that cold cell, time stood still for Max, but outside, life moved fast without him. And the wildest part? Jim Jones, the same man Max once called a brother, was suddenly everywhere. Jim had just dropped We Fly High, better known as Bowlin', and the record blew up instantly. It became a global anthem and the biggest hit of Jim's entire career, officially pushing him into solo superstardom. But behind those prison walls, Max was hearing a completely different version of the story. He claimed he was the one who actually wrote We Fly High. According to him, he ghostwrote that joint in several of Jim's biggest records. The hooks, the melodies, even the ad-libs came from his creative mind. So while Jim was on TV doing interviews, popping bottles, and cashing huge checks, Max was sitting in a cell watching somebody else blow up off a sound he said he built. After nearly 10 long months behind bars, Max finally caught a break. The judge reduced his bail to $90,000, meaning freedom was suddenly within reach. But he needed help to touch the streets again, and that's where everything got dirty. Jim stepped in, but not out of love or brotherhood. Word around Harlem was that Jim only agreed to help with Max's bail if Max signed over his publishing, and agreed to drop 6 full albums under Bird Gang. What looked like a lifeline was really a setup. But Max was desperate, locked down, and out of options, so he signed the papers. In that moment, Jim walked away with full control of Max's publishing, and Max walked out with temporary freedom, but his whole future now sat in the hands of the man he once trusted the most. When Max B stepped out of jail in July 2007, he wasn't the same dude anymore. The smile was still there, but prison had sharpened him, hardened him, left him carrying heavy resentment. He came home broke.
How you think he got so hot? Came out with all them tapes. I did that. I put them hooks together. I made the credit. I made the hooks. I made the melodies. Yeah. I made the shit, dog. I'm the man.
Trade, and chained to a deal that stripped him of everything he built. But as his buzz picked up again, Max realized one thing. If Jim wasn't going to treat him right, he wasn't staying silent anymore. He was ready for straight-up war. And when Max said war, he meant it. He wasn't fighting just for credit. He was fighting for respect, for ownership, for his whole identity. He walked away from Bird Gang and started plotting his next move. If Jim was going to profit off his name, Max was determined to tell the world a real story. Nothing was off limits anymore. That's exactly when French Montana stepped into the picture. Back then, French wasn't a superstar we know today. He was a Bronx street figure pushing his Cocaine City DVDs, raw and unfiltered. And French already had his own issues with Jim after shooting created Bad Blood. So when Max and French linked, it wasn't just about making music. It was about lining up for revenge. Together they formed Coke Wave, and it quickly became more than a crew. It was a full movement. They were the underdogs attacking the industry from the underground, and they weren't scared of anybody. Max knew he didn't have label backing, but he had something stronger, the streets. So he kept feeding the people nonstop, dropping mixtape after mixtape, giving the music away for free, making sure nobody could mute his voice. But the war didn't stop at music. Max turned his entire situation with Jim Jones into entertainment. Every interview, every freestyle, every appearance, Max was throwing shots with zero hesitation. The first big blow came with Public Domain 3. The cover alone shook Harlem. Max standing in a graveyard next to tombstones labeled Millie, Jim Jones, and Joel Santana, basically calling them fake like Milli Vanilli. Then the lyrics hit. Max rapped, "I know them dudes need me." I was giving them the loot, letting everybody know he believed he built that sound, and without him, they were lost. The record made serious noise across Harlem. Jim had the fame, but Max had the streets behind him heavy. And Max still wasn't done. He pushed even deeper and went straight for reputations. One of the wildest moments of the entire feud came when Max dropped "She Touched It in Miami." This wasn't a light diss. It was flat-out disrespect wrapped in a song. On the track, Max claimed Jim's longtime partner Chrissy Lampkin had been intimate with him, and that rumor sent shockwaves everywhere. Max even rapped, "She sucked it in Miami," while Bigavelli hit it from the back in her Fendi, saying it casually, laughing it off, calling Jim emotional, claiming Jim just couldn't handle the truth. Jim Jones, on the other hand, was blindsided. He didn't see any of this coming. When Max started firing public shots, Jim tried to stay calm, brushing it off like Max wasn't a factor at all. But deep down, the pressure was building. Boom. Pause and ram the boom. Max said he hit him so hard the dude could get all this. He claimed Jim rolled up on him, tried to grab him through the window. So Max did what Max does, punched him in the face and peeled off. Jim jumped into interviews afterward, calling Max a bitter, washed-up rapper who never made it, just another guy who couldn't survive the industry. He even denied Max had anything to do with We Fly High, swearing he wrote his own biggest hit. But the streets weren't buying that at all. People had already heard the old reference tracks floating around. Max's voice was all over them. Slowly, the conversation shifted. Fans started questioning how much of Jim's success, even back in the Dipset era, came from his own pen and how much came from the talent standing next to him. Meanwhile, Max wasn't slowing down for anybody. He moved like someone ready for pressure from any direction. He even started talking publicly about how the beef had gone way past music. This was real-life energy now. Max claimed there was a moment when Jim tried to ambush him in a parking lot, blocking his car with a Bentley. According to Max, he spotted it coming, hit the gas, rammed Jim's car out of the way, and still managed to land a few punches before speeding off. French Montana and everyone close to Max backed the story, and before long, the whole moment turned into straight legend. This beef wasn't rap anymore. It had officially turned into a street saga. Then November 2008 hit, the moment everything jumped to a completely different level. Max and French decided they weren't just talking anymore. They were pulling up. They rolled deep into Manhattan and walked straight into the building where Jim was recording, ready to prove the city wasn't sweet for him. Max later claimed Jim called the police when he realized what was happening. True or not, the accusation alone wrecked Jim's street image. In that world, being linked to calling the cops is one of the worst stains you can have. And the conversation around Jim shifted fast. Not long after, their crews crossed paths again inside a Brooklyn club, and everything erupted. Chairs flying, bottles breaking, cops and K-9 units storming inside. Absolute chaos. When the dust finally settled, Max had done way more than just beef with Jim Jones. He flipped the whole narrative. Jim became a punchline, someone people were clowning, while Max turned into a cult figure, a street legend who didn't need a label or industry backing to make noise. But while Max kept dropping music and feeding his diehard fan base, the law was closing in slow and steady. And eventually, it all caught up to him. Max's old case from that chaotic hotel robbery had been crawling through the courts for years, inching toward a verdict he couldn't outrun. When the final verdict hit, it shattered everything. Max got slapped with a 75-year sentence, and hip-hop damn near stopped breathing. People started whispering, was Max cooperating? But fans fired back instantly. We've seen the paperwork. It felt like the entire wave got erased before it even had a chance to reach the shoreline. And while the culture was hurting, Jim Jones looked like he was quietly celebrating. From his perspective, it almost felt like he had just secured the ultimate business victory. To Jim, the war was over. Max was buried in a cell, his voice silenced, and Jim was still holding the publishing to all the music. Then May 2010 pulled the rug right out from under him. Paperwork surfaced showing Max voluntarily met with law enforcement, pointing them toward a woman tied to the case, even telling them what strip club she worked at, and suddenly the whole 80 down to 20 conversation was back on fire. But the judge delivered the real shocker. Jim officially had zero control over Max's BS catalog. The court ruled that Max had fulfilled every obligation in his 2005 and 2007 contracts, meaning Jim's grip evaporated overnight. And then came the plot twist nobody saw coming. Max's monstrous 75-year sentence got chopped to 20, then again down to just 12. Slowly but surely, daylight started breaking through the darkness. And after all those years locked away, the man who literally shaped a whole sound from behind bars finally walked back into the world. But the second his release hit the internet, chaos woke right back up. The rumors followed him like an echo from the past, snitching allegations. Anytime a rapper beats a heavy sentence, somebody tries to stir the pot. And this time, it was Wack 100 steering the narrative. Wack jumped out claiming he had paperwork proving Max cooperated from the inside, saying he possessed documents showing Max met with authorities and handed over information that helped slice his sentence. Wack even insisted Max pointed out a woman involved in the case, told them where she worked, hinted at some video evidence, and said people around Max confirmed the whole situation. But here's the problem. Nobody besides Wack has ever seen these so-called documents. Wack even admitted he never spoke to Max, never met him, never had any connection to him at all. So most people called it what it looked like, another attempt to grab headlines off somebody else's comeback moment. Max's fans instantly shut the rumors down, calling Wack's claims nothing but pure clout chasing. And truthfully, the majority didn't even care about the noise. They were just celebrating the fact that Max was home, smiling, breathing free air, and finally getting to live life again. Now that the wave is officially back outside, the question everybody's asking is whether he'll jump back into the booth, and if this new generation will show him the same love the old one did. The industry has changed, but the streets don't forget their legends. For now, Max looks focused on enjoying freedom, soaking up every moment, reconnecting with the people who never left his side, and feeling the energy that's been building for years. And if you vibe with this story, make sure you subscribe to Drip Z, hit that like button, drop a comment, share this video, and help your algorithm do its magic. Run this video up.